The morning I stepped outside and saw three concrete barriers blocking my driveway, I knew this wasn't harassment anymore, it was war. Steam rose from my abandoned coffee, the air thick with the metallic bite of diesel and wet cement. Delilah Thornberry thought she was intimidating some washed-up veteran with no fight left in him. What she didn't know was that she'd just declared war on someone trained to win them. December, Colorado, 6 a.m. I'm standing there in my bathrobe, phone to my ear, staring at those gray monoliths stacked across my driveway like prison walls. Jim, I said to my old army buddy, I need something permanently immovable. 5 words that would change everything. 6 months earlier, I'd moved into Willowbrook Estates, a clean, quiet suburban paradise outside Denver. 52, newly divorced, just trying to rebuild. After 2 decades in the Army hauling tanks and artillery, I thought a home office and a peaceful corner lot were my shot at freedom. That circular driveway, that was my dream. Clients could come and go without disturbing anyone. I'd done my homework. No HOA rule ban home consulting. I thought I was safe. Then I met the woman who made everyone in Willowbrook regret their signatures on the HOA contract. Delilah Thornberry. 48, going on feudal lord, bleached smile, white Mercedes, and a clipboard that looked like it had sent more people into despair than the IRS. She appeared one Tuesday morning like a ghost conjured by fresh paint fumes. You need to move that commercial truck immediately, she announced. No hello, no smile, just orders. I looked at my F-150, a personal pickup identical to half the neighborhood. Ma'am, it's my car. Which you use for commercial purposes, she shot back, clicking her gold pen like it was a sidearm. That tone, dismissive, superior, the same voice I'd heard from officers who thought rank made them gods. I bit my tongue, nodded, and said evenly, I'll review the covenants. She smiled that tight smile. You do that. We run a tight ship here. Some people just aren't Willowbrook material. 3 days later, I got the first violation letter. $150 for unauthorized commercial vehicle storage. Threats of $500 daily fines. 7 days to comply. She'd drawn first blood. I spent that weekend surrounded by legal papers, HOA bylaws, county codes, deeds. Buried on page 47 of the handbook was her weapon, a vague line about commercial vehicles so broad it could probably ban the pizza guy. But she'd made a rookie mistake. She assumed I'd fold. Instead, I did what the Army taught me best, document, strategize, and counterattack. I paid the fine, quietly. Then I installed 4 high-definition security cameras, every corner covered. I wasn't just defending my property. I was gathering intel. 2 weeks later, those cameras caught something surreal. 11:47 p.m. A lone figure in designer boots creeping across my driveway. Surveyor's tape, clipboard, measuring angles under the cold moonlight. Delilah, trespassing, measuring my property like she was mapping out a battlefield. The next morning, she showed up again, pretending nothing had happened. Marcus, she said sweetly, we need to discuss your ongoing driveway situation. Funny you mention that, I said, holding up my phone. I was reviewing last night's footage. Didn't know midnight surveying was a new hobby around here. For 3 seconds, her mask cracked. Then that frozen smile snapped back in place. Routine community assessment. I could taste iron in my mouth from holding back my anger. Right? I must have missed that section in the bylaws. Her jaw tightened. You're being deliberately obstructive. And you're trespassing, I said calmly. She turned on her heel and muttered, Emergency board meeting, Thursday, 7 p.m. sharp. Thursday night looked like a parody of Justice. 5 board members behind a folding table. 15 neighbors watching. Delilah presiding like a suburban queen. She had slides, of my property edited to make my truck look like a semi. Her voice dripped with venom. This disrupts community tranquility. When my turn came, I stayed calm. Thank you, Delilah. I've brought some reading material. I handed out copies of the HOA covenants, highlighted, annotated. Page 12. Home businesses permitted. Page 15. Commercial vehicles defined as over 10,000 pounds. My truck? 6,200. Her case? Dead on arrival. Then I added the kill shot. This meeting was announced Monday via email. Colorado law requires 72 hours written notice. You're in violation of your own procedures. The room erupted. Whispers, shock, confusion. Then a calm voice from the back, Frank Kowalski, retired attorney. Marcus is correct, he said. This meeting violates state statute. Her gavel slammed. Her control shattered. That night, I gained my first ally, and Delilah gained her first real enemy. A week later, I woke up to an empty driveway. My truck gone. In its place, a bright orange sticker, illegally parked vehicle removed per HOA authority. I stood there in disbelief, fingers shaking as I called the tow company. $3.50 release fee, the voice said, cash only. I was parked in my own driveway. Take it up with your HOA. That word, orders, hit harder than a punch. Frank drove me to the impound lot, explaining Colorado's towing laws like a grim professor. HOAs need 48-hour written notice, posted signs, documentation. You got any of that? Nothing, I said. Then she's committed predatory towing, he replied. And that's illegal. The yard smelled of oil and despair. $350 later, I drove home with a lighter wallet and a heavier resolve. That night, I started a new file on my laptop. Operation Fort Thornberry. The next day, Mrs. Patterson showed up, casserole in hand, eyes full of fury. What that woman did to you is evil, she said. She told me stories. The Kellys forced to tear down their daughter's swing set. The Garcias fined for planting vegetables. The Johnsons punished for a dog run. All victims. All silent. Until now. That night, I ate her casserole and planned my counterstrike. Delilah wanted to weaponize bureaucracy. I'd weaponize truth. 2 days later, she escalated again. A glossy flyer appeared in every mailbox. Protect our community. The truth about Marcus Rivera. Photos of my truck from warped angles. Fake neighbor quotes. A caption under a photo of my house. Is this the neighborhood we want? I stood in my driveway, the cold burning my lungs, reading my public execution in print. Frank appeared beside me, coffee in hand. This crosses every legal line, he said. Defamation, harassment. She's overplayed her hand. The next few days were brutal. Neighbors stopped waving. Conversations died mid-sentence. I'd become the town pariah, at least on the surface. But under that silence, something was changing. That evening, the Kellys knocked on my door. Danny still wore his delivery uniform. Sarah held their daughter's hand, the same girl whose swing set had been destroyed. Mr. Rivera, he said, voice steady, we're not buying her lies, and we're not alone. Behind them came others, the Garcias, the Johnsons, the Hendersons, each carrying their own stories, their own scars. One by one, they told me how Delilah had humiliated, fined, or threatened them. And one by one, I watched fear turn into anger and anger into unity. Frank spread the documentation across my table, the paper glowing under the kitchen light. When tyrants attack everyone, he said, they unite their enemies. For the first time, I smiled, because this wasn't one man against an HOA anymore. It was a neighborhood rising. That night, my cameras caught Delilah's Mercedes circling the block 3 times. She slowed at every house where lights still burned, trying to understand what had shifted. What she didn't realize was that the same people she'd silenced were now meeting behind closed doors, building a resistance. And in that quiet December night, as frost formed on the rooftops and her engine hummed in the distance, I finally understood something she never would. You can fence in property, you can find someone into bankruptcy, but you can't control people once they stop being afraid. Because when neighbors unite, when they decide they've had enough, no amount of bureaucracy, no stack of concrete can stop what's coming next. What would you do if your neighbor weaponized bureaucracy against you? Drop your HOA horror stories in the comments below. And remember, patience builds the strongest fortresses. Mine just happened to be made of concrete.